Welcome back to another episode of First to the Floor. Ben Vallis here. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Alongside me, Wayne Spooney and Jake Eisenberg. Guys, how's it going?
Gentlemen.
Basking.
It's amazing. This is one of the biggest drinking weekends, maybe the biggest for my money in the United States, Memorial Day weekend. So I've been partaking a little bit. Massive Celtics win. Jake, solo potted for 53 minutes, which I'm looking forward to listening to tomorrow when I have a little bit of time when my kid's napping. So it's just a great 24 hours, boys.
Yeah, go and check out Jake's solo pod. I listened to all the pods, every single one of them after Celtics games, and we're living in this reality where some guy from Australia has the money. It has the best pod after the game yesterday of all of them. So it's Jake just waxing lyrical about the Celtics for an hour as part of our late night show. And it's fucking awesome. So definitely check out Jake's late night show from last night. Now, the Celtics, they win 114-111, overcoming an 18-point deficit. They take a 3-0 lead in the Eastern Conference Finals, one win away from going back to the NBA Finals. Before we get to Game 3, and a bit later, Game 4, some quick housekeeping. Please subscribe to the First of the Floor YouTube channel and podcast. Hit that like button. We're 40-something subs away from 4K subscribers. Our goal is to hit 5K by the end of the postseason. You click the like button, you subscribe, and it not only puts more Celtics content in your feed, but it tells YouTube to recommend this show to more people. While you're at it, all of our links are in the description, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can scan the little QR code below. Most notably, join our Discord server and sign up to the Celtics blog Playback Room, which was absolutely going off last night to the point that Sean Grandy retweeted the clip of Jake and Jackson and Joe reacting to the game, claiming that it's better than Grandy and Max on the radio, which is insanely high praise. That's so good. And also, check out all of Spoonie's stuff over on CelticsBlog.com. Spoonie, you've got 2 pieces coming up, right? Is that right?
All right. Yeah, so I've got the 2 plays that have defined the Eastern Conference Finals coming up with the Celtics pin down and zoom actions. And then Indy's tricky-ass pick-and-roll game, dude. The more I've been watching it, they're really clever. Carlisle is a good coach, except for in late-game situations, apparently. And I'm writing this is knock on wood, I have started a preview for the finals.
I think it's okay.
And it is... Yeah, I know. It's never happened before, but
it will be your fault if we somehow lose.
That's true. That's very true. In the vein of Dick Magnum, L.A. Noir style investigation piece preview for the finals.
He's back.
So let's go. And I have in my possession a costume that I will put on when we make the finals and come on this podcast wearing it.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Cannot wait.
Yes.
Well, it's hard to think about anything else, but let's talk about Game 3. Just move our minds away from Spoonie in a Dick Magnum costume, all the last style. Jake, Game 3. First of all, how did the Pacers go up 18 in the first place? What happened there?
Andrew Nembhard, man. And I said coming into the game, the Pacers are good with and without Haliburton. Defensively, significantly better without Tyrese Haliburton, who should be in the same conversation as Trae Young as far as defenders go, as far as guys that play big minutes in the NBA. But offensively, I looked at the numbers today. In the playoffs, Haliburton on the court, the Pacers have a 124-point-something offensive rating. Haliburton off the floor, 118.03 offensive rating. That number would be good for 4th best offense in the regular season. So without Haliburton in the playoffs, that's against, the Knicks. That's against playoff defense. That would have been good for the 4th best offense in the NBA in the regular season. These guys just have it, man, when it comes to the offense. You believe in your system. Joe TDL, New Zealand correspondent, always talks about how shot making is correlated to confidence. And this team just 100% believes in the system. They've got that pick and roll stuff you're talking about, Spoonie. It's so hard to deal with. And also Andrew Nembhard, they've found something here. They can feel really good about this guy going forward. I got a tweet from Caitlin Cooper in the middle of the game yesterday. So many accounts on here questioned me about an Andrew Nembhard in January. Real hoopers have been saying this about Andrew Nembhard, and he's got the goods. Going back to the last series, hitting that game winner against the Knicks, he was unbelievable.
Shot.
Unbelievable. He's got 65% true shooting for the playoffs. He's just been really fucking good, man. The Pacers, they can score the ball, and the Celtics were just struggling to get stops.
Yeah, dude. So I knew of Nembhard because he was on Gonzaga and WVU played them, and we lost 87-82 when they were number one, and Culver got fouled. No big deal. Nobody cares. But, and Nembhard roasted us, dude. I think he had like 17 and 8, and in a 40-minute game where he's only playing like 29 minutes, and I was like, who the hell is this dude? He was a transfer. He's had a crazy story, and he is showing the hell out. He's just one of those dudes where his handle is really, really good, and he's really, really quick, and he's just not afraid, man. Like they're running like all these zoom actions where he'll like get off the ball often to Nesmith, and then Nesmith like will run like a pseudo pick and roll, or he'll just hand it back off to Nembhard to get Nembhard moving, and then Siakam's hitting you with the pick, and it's like flowing into this super fast pick and roll, and Nembhard's all of a sudden downhill, and he's not a great, he isn't so good that he can just burn you and get all the way to the rim, but it doesn't matter because he has that pullback game that you have to respect. So if you're respecting that, that allows him to get to the rim sometimes. But if you're cutting him off from the rim, he's like, okay, I'll just take the 14-footer. It's money. Like he had 16 points in game 2. I swear to God, he had like 45. Like He just felt like he never missed. And then he had 32 in game 3. He's just really, really good. And, you know, I don't know if he's like a great defensive player, but he's not like the sore spot you can pick at every possession by any means. You know, he's a legitimate 6'4", 6'5" in shoes, like decent wingspan, smart team defender. I tweeted the Shaq meme out. I said it on Immediate Reactions. Like, I knew he was like a solid, good basketball player, but he looks like a number 1 option in the Eastern Conference Finals against one of the best defenses in the league. Yep. It's crazy, man. Like, he's hooping out of control.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I learned watching this game, it's that Indy's amazing offense isn't entirely predicated on Tyrese Haliburton, who is a great driver for their offense and an awesome player in his own right. But that's a machine, that's a system, and they all operate extremely confidently out of that system. And as a result, Andrew Nembhard, who is awesome. By the way, Pacers fans down 3-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, they can walk away from this series happy that there's found money in that. Andrew Nembhard, I believe a second-round pick.
Yep.
I think so, right? Like,
I think they can.
You can say this in hindsight. They'll never get a win.
I was just like the Celtics fans being like, you guys should be happy you're down 3-0 when you could have stolen.
Yeah, take it from me. As I mansplain your situation for you.
You're good, fellas.
But, you're fine. A little pat on the head. But seriously, like we all do as fans. You look for a consolation prize. Our season ends in disappointment last year, and you're trying to look for reasons for optimism from the next day forward. And so this is a massive cause for optimism for Pacers fans, the way that Andrew Nembhard's playing. 8 of 10 in the first half alone. Indy shot 68.2% in the second quarter alone. They out-rebounded the Celtics 21-10 in the first half, out-assisted the Celtics 20-12 in the first half. They just had an incredible first half, and I thought the Celtics were playing like pretty decently. Not the best, not most fluid defensively, and the timing on our switches and the things that have been problematic when we've gone down in these series were rearing their ugly heads in the first half. But for the most part, I didn't think it was a bad performance by the Celtics. The Pacers were just incredible in this one, guys. To begin with,
man. We had what, 57 points in the first half, 50% from the field, 41.6% from 3 on 24 attempts, dude. Like, if you were to tell me the Celtics are shooting 24 threes and we've made 41% of them, the game's over, dude. Like, that just is the recipe. The defense wasn't bad, man. Jaylen Brown said it in the post game, man. He's like, these motherfuckers turned into Michael Jordan on us, like, and like, I don't want to go crazy like I did last night, but like the media talking about how the Celtics like are just an affront to basketball because the Pacers are winning that game. And I'm like, I refuse to believe people are actually watching this first half. Like, the Pacers are playing really freaking well on offense, and the Celtics are still playing really freaking well on offense too. I don't need to drag Seth Partnow's name through the mud again, but people just expecting like the Celtics are supposed to go undefeated through here without giving credit to the opponent. It's like, this team's good, man. And like, the NBA is just talented. Like, throughout the regular season, how many times do we look like this X player is out and then that team wins the game? Like, Rudy Gobert goes out for the Timberwolves and they have their most impressive win of the playoffs in Denver. Like, it's just that doesn't apply to the Celtics though.
Yeah, it's just like if you're watching this game, Greeny had a great stat in his like post game article he wrote on Barstool. The Pacers hit 54% on very tightly contested and tightly contested twos in this game, which is like you're playing good defense and they're just making the shots anyway. Like I love that you like part now. I have seen him. I've heard him on podcasts. I really respect him. He was just like way off the reservation trying to get interaction, I think maybe. Yeah. Like, look, I get it, dude. Like, we're all out here trying to do the same thing. But then he like tripled down when everyone was like, are you fucking watching this, dude? Like Nembhard's hitting fadeaways. Like, Siakam's not missing with hands in his face. Like that stuff. It's happening. It's not that like the Celtics are playing bad. It's just Indy is legitimately good even without Tyrese Haliburton. And like there's not much you can do. Great offense beats great defense, and both of these teams have great offenses, and even without Haliburton, Indy has a great offense. And they're just extremely confident. They're really smart and they play super fast, which puts a lot of pressure on your defense. Did you guys see Joe's post-game presser where he was talking about like they drop like their multiple drives of possession? Like the first drive gets like a little closer to the paint, then the second drive gets a little closer, and then the third drive, all of a sudden they're in the paint. And then you can't like keep switching that because you're in rotation, and it's just really difficult to defend. He like made like complicated basketball seem very simplistic in that way. But he's right. It's like they just put a ton of pressure on your defense because they don't force anything unless they absolutely have to. And they all can dribble, pass, and shoot. Even Miles Turner can dribble, pass. Like he'll put it on the deck for a couple dribbles if he has to. And some of the fadeaways and like they'll run a pick and roll and Turner will post up on the switch immediately. And it's so quick. It's so smart. It's great offense, man.
Dude, if you were to tell
it's
me
great
that
conditioning
we got, like,
for our
4...
defense.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's great conditioning for our defense for the next round. Touch wood, if we are lucky enough to make it through to the next round, winning one more game. This is an elite offense. And no matter who we face in the next round, our defense is going to be well conditioned, having had to go against this offense for the last 3-4 games.
Yeah, dude. Great point, Ben. Like this, people can say whatever they want, dude. This offense is hard to defend. And dealing with these guys over and over again, like I was almost disappointed. Like now that when we was kind of clear that we were going to win game 2, and then we obviously won game 2. Like Haliburton going out, I was like, we're up 2-0. We're not going to lose a series. Losing like Haliburton for the series, like you lose that challenge a little bit. That's what I thought. And then you come into the next game and they were still incredibly difficult to guard. Like this team makes you work. And I think that it absolutely, it's almost like they've gotten tested without the risk of actually losing the series. Like Miami is going to make you think on offense because they're so good at forcing turnovers, and you got to be really careful. The Cavs force you to really deal with like insane, pull-up shooting and screen navigation by the lead guys. And then this Pacers team really tests you to be really locked in defensively. Like we're trying to keep Al Horford out of these switches over and over again. They're pre-switching everything. I think that's a great call. Like, and without the risk of actually really being able to lose the series because the Celtics are just that much more talented. But yeah, when Miles Turner was hitting those fadeaways, like if you were to tell me in the first quarter we force 3 Miles Turner 12-foot fadeaway jump shots after watching Caitlin Cooper on her podcast be like, if they're going to play small, Miles Turner, you have to get more than like these contested fadeaways. He just hit all of them. Yeah. He hit all of them. And like he was 6 for 7 from the field, I think, at one point. Like they orange ball go in. That's their thing, dude. They're good at it.
Yeah, he missed all of his threes, but he was incredibly efficient from the floor overall. But look, the one good thing about going down 18 is the potential for a very spicy comeback. Who doesn't love an amazing comeback, particularly deep into the Eastern Conference Finals? How many times, Spooty, were you like, fuck, like we've lost this game? Because there were, I think, many junctures where, because they kept hitting back as well, there were so many times where the Celtics could have just given up, where it was like, clearly this is not our night. They're hitting some shit. We had a bunch of threes rim out as well, like down the stretch, where I was like, okay, this is clearly not happening. Meanwhile, TJ McConnell is like Michael Jordaning, to quote Jaylen Brown after the game, his way through the game. How many times throughout the game did you personally give up, if at all?
Okay, first of all, can I just say fuck TJ McConnell? Like,
yeah, okay, I'll back
you
that.
have that friend you get drunk with, and like he has a few too many. He's like, I just love you guys so much. And at first you're just like, yeah, dude, yeah, we love you too, man. And then he's like, 2 hours later, he's still like, no, you don't get it. I love you so much. It's like, we fucking get it, man. We get it, TJ. You're good. Like, just stop. Stop making fucking fadeaways, bro. Like, this shit doesn't make any sense. He's falling out of bounds, hitting fadeaways on the base. Stop it, TJ. We get it. We all trust you. You're really awesome. But I would say the Hauser air ball with, I think, like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter when Tatum hits this like huge three near the end of the third quarter to cut it under 10. I think we ended, it was a 9-point deficit going to the fourth quarter. And it's like kind of even at the start of the fourth. And it's like Hauser gets wide open. And it's like, here we go. It's going to be a 5-point. Oh shit, that's like not even fucking close. I think I wrote in the playback like, it's just not our night, boys. And then there was about a dozen other moments after that, but that was the first one where I was like, it's over, game over.
That's the thing. Like you said it, Ben. They didn't go away, man. Like these guys kept hitting shots. Like the Celtics, it almost shouldn't have come down to the wire. Like when a team starts to let go of the rope like this, like in Philly last year, Game 6, where the Celtics were kind of down. It was a different situation. Obviously, we weren't quite down this big, but like once Tatum like started to wake up and go off, the Sixers became shook and just stopped scoring, and the Celtics go from like being down 5 to up 10 in the span of like 3 minutes and the game's over. Whereas like I've got the play-by-play late here from NBA.com. So Nembhard hits a step back jump 2-pointer to put them up 6. Jaylen Brown has that monster dunk to get it back to 4. Nembhard hits a 3 to get it back to 7. Horford bullies down low to get it back to 5. And then TJ hits another corner 3 to put it back up 8.
3, dude.
And that was the one for me. 3 minutes to go. TJ hits the 3 in the corner. And I'm like, oh, that's probably it. But then Jrue hits a layup. And then McConnell hits another shot to put it back up 8. And then the tide finally starts to turn. Jaylen hits a tough fadeaway. They get a stop. And Tatum hits the dagger 3. Not dagger 3, like the big 3. The 3s that he was missing in game 1. He hits that big shot. That was when I felt like it was over. Was TJ hit another 3. I'm like,
yeah.
This TJ Jordan guy did again to put us up 8, 3 minutes to go. Like that felt like it.
Dude, if these were 47-minute games, we might be down 2-1 in this series. Like, some real clutch performances from the Celtics. Fortunately, they're not 47-minute games. We are going to come back in a moment and have a lot of fun. We're going to go through the most memorable moments of the comeback. We've got some clips to run through as well. But first, here's a quick word from our sponsor, PrizePicks.
PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. March is over, but the biggest moments of college basketball tip off in the month of April. Be a part of the action on PrizePicks for both men's and women's college basketball. And get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. You can even make the play-in rounds seem interesting since we all know the Celtics won't be there. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. Personally, I'm looking at Derek White more on points because they are criminally low, and we all know Derek White is going to come up big in the postseason. So download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100.
PrizePicks, check it out. Use that code on sign up CLNS and get a $100 first deposit match and supplement your hoops viewing experience. Now, guys, most memorable moments from the 18-point comeback. Let's try and keep it, I guess, chronological here and end in sort of the culminating Jrue Holiday magic. But Spoonie, what sort of stood out to you as far as this comeback here?
Okay, I think the first thing for me, and I kind of contradicted this in the previous segment, saying when Hauser airballed that 3 that I thought it was over, but Tatum hits a huge 3 with like a minute 40 left to cut it to 9. Minute 40 left in the third quarter, I'm sorry, to cut it to 9. And it's like, okay, like a 9-point lead going into the fourth quarter. that's basically nothing in the playoffs. And let's just kind of see what happens from there. And by that time, they had really upped their defensive effort, and their ball pressure was really, really good. And it just felt like Indy was kind of off the pace at that point. Turns out they kind of weren't, but it felt like that when he made that three. And Tatum, I think he was that made him 4 for 8 from three. And it's like Tatum's making his threes. We never lose when Tatum makes his threes. So that was a huge one for me.
Yeah.
By the draw foul. Tatum, a three. Got it.
And then, like, just so good to see his three going down. And then, Jake, as you're talking about this one, we'll show the three hit later in the game as well.
Yeah. I mean, we've been saying, these aren't tough threes, man. That's all the difference in, like, him being, like, still really good in the playoffs to him being, like, elite, and all this shit being irrelevant is, like, just hitting the wide open catch and shoot threes finally. Like, the thing that he's been excellent at, the thing that we don't even talk about. Not the pull-up threes that we don't like. And he's hitting them. He goes, and he has the monster game. So, please, Lord, let this be a sign of things to come.
Yeah, absolutely. The 12 blocks for the Celtics in this game as well. Like the huge reason for the turnaround was defensively. Like the Celtics absolutely dialed up their defense. It's hard to put your finger on because we talked about the Celtics were pretty reasonably decent defensively in the first half. It was just that the Pacers were shit hot. But the Celtics absolutely dialed it up. Here's just one example of our blocking the shit out of an Indy drive here.
They go inside, out, top and blocked by Horford. Back-to-back blocks for the Celtics. That's 3 for Horford. And Brown fouls as he goes.
Yeah, and JB going down the other end to get to the free throw line. But the blocks in this game, I think Derek White had 4 of them himself, mostly on bigs as well. Defensively and around the rim in that whole second half was just incredible. So huge turning point there for the Celtics. What stood out to you, Jake, in this comeback?
Well, just like those blocks, and it reminded me of that third quarter against the Pelicans. Like that defense where, like, they're not just getting stops, they're like swallowing the other team up over and over and over again. And like the other team's like on the ground, like complaining to the refs, like they're just getting absolutely destroyed. And the Celtics are just running. I'm not sure if it's a sustainable level of defense for like a 48-minute game or like night in, night out, but it's really good. That's probably the best defense we've seen them play in the playoffs. I'd say like that stretch to get back in this game, because it wasn't just the Pacers falling apart as we said earlier, but Jaylen Brown, don't let like what he did late in this game get lost. Like, I mean, we'll start with this dunk here in the fourth quarter.
3-pointer, and it's back to 4. Jaylen Brown goes inside. What a slam!
So ridiculous, dude. And it's hard to like fully, like, even like rewatching the playback, like, we were like, holy shit, that was a monster play. But because you're still down and you're still like, how hard it is, you don't fully like appreciate what's happening. But he has that ridiculous play over Miles Turner, like on his head. And then he follows it up like a couple possessions later with this fadeaway here. Like, these were two really, I mean, not rocket science, man, really, really big buckets down the stretch. Like, 2 minutes to go, still down 8, 2.5 minutes to go, still down 8. Like, this is why you can't relax, man. It's never over. It's terrifying, one way or another.
Playoff buckets as well, like that fadeaway, like dancing around in the paint, tippy-toeing with their biggest player in pursuit of you, Spoonie. Like, just an incredible playoff bucket there from JB.
I just like the massive cojones it takes to take that shot. And like, he catches it and I'm thinking layup, but Turner does a really good job of getting over to him. And Jaylen's like, okay, I'm just going to reset wait a second. I'm kind of open here at the free throw line. Bang. All of a sudden, it's a 7-point game, or a 6-point game, rather. Huge shot. I feel like the dunk got a lot of, I'm smacking my microphone, sorry. I feel like the dunk got a lot of like love online. It was a nice little pin down action. Jaylen comes off it really fast. Like, that's what we want to see with Jaylen Brown. Get him out of the corner. With speed, but that shot is just monster stuff, dude. It's so important. It's so difficult. And it's just like incredibly clutch, dude. That doesn't count as a clutch bucket per NBA.com because it's not within 5. You know what I mean? It's like the clutch is stupid in a lot of ways, right? That definition is dumb. Huge shot. Huge, kind of a momentum changer in a lot of ways, because we basically took the game over after that point because they only scored 2 more points for the rest of the game.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like you're trying to hang on, prevent yourself from going down 3-0. You're playing in front of your home fans who you've not lost in front of so far these playoffs. You've got the Celtics, best team in the NBA, breathing down your neck, hitting huge shots, and then Jaylen Brown just like dunks fucking all over you, and you're like, oh shit! Like no matter, it's a momentum shift in play because that's just an incredible thing to do in that moment. Folks in the chat, let us know your favorite moments from this comeback as well. Because I don't know, is it fair to call this the win of the postseason? I saw Bill Simmons tweeted that out, like best win of the year for the Celtics, just the spiritedness, for lack of a better term, of that comeback. You know, you could so easily just walk out of that a loss, still up 2-1, and just move on and forget about it. But to come back under those circumstances is just truly unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's for winning the postseason. I mean, game 1 of this series was also awesome as well. We'll probably do it. We're going to have time to rank probably the wins before the finals. But the other one that comes to mind is for the whole series, touching wood, obviously. But the Minnesota Timberwolves game in Boston, the overtime win where they kind of came back late as well. Like that is the other one I'd probably put like at the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
sorry, go ahead, Spinny.
I was going to say the JT behind the back pass to Al, too, was so
let's run it.
ridiculous.
We've got it,
run it.
Plays on its feet. Tatum drives, goes inside, behind the back. Horford, corner three, puts it in. Al Horford from downtown. 2-point game.
Great rim read.
I believe it's hanging in the Louvre already at this moment in time. And shout out to Timmy for all the clips. Go ahead, guys.
Well, Spoonie, is like that's the play you're talking about, right? Like the side pin downs. I love it. I love them. Like you're getting everything you want in that play, right? You're getting Tatum going downhill. You're spacing with Al Horford in the corner, and one way or another, you're getting either Tatum at the rim or a wide open catch and shoot for Horford. Perfect play. It's like Pantheon Tatum play. Like put that in the same category as like him dunking on LeBron in his rookie season, man. Like conference finals to go up 3-0 to like finish off the monster comeback.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That one step back he hit in Game 6 over Giannis to basically ice the game too is up there.
God.
Like this is one of those plays. And I think people don't appreciate so much like it's one thing to design a play on offense. It's another thing to put the right people in that play, right? Like Al being the guy who sets the screen means Miles Turner is the dude who's out there trying to defend that pin down when Tatum's coming off with a head of steam. And then he's obviously his first thinking, like his entire basketball life is, I need to protect the rim. He gets completely sucked in. And honestly, until the pass was in Al Horford's hands, I was like, "Oh, Tatum's about to get this shit blocked. Like this is going. No, hopefully we get a foul call." And all of a sudden, Al's rising up, and I'm like, "What happened?" So I think that's a big part of coaching too. Is just like you're running the right actions with the right personnel. Game, score, all that stuff comes into play. It was the perfect note by Joe Mazzulla at the time. It worked completely perfectly, and a big part of that is because Jayson Tatum threw one of the sickest passes I've ever seen. That ball bounces 15 feet before Al Horford. Like, it hits the ground. Like, he threw that. It's such a sick angle of the pass. Like, he bounces it so hard that it just skips to Al, which is kind of like often behind the backs don't bounce, right? You're just kind of like slinging them a little bit. It was just a nasty pass, and once Al had it, I was like, this is going in. Al Horford don't miss these clutch threes, dude. Yeah.
So many notable Al Horford, Jayson Tatum connections in the playoffs over their time together. It's fucking incredible. And add this to the top of that pile. Obviously, this comeback culminated in Jrue Holiday's heroics. And I feel like, Jake, we should look at this through the lens of the amazing Celtics blog.
Give us the playback.
It's so unlucky.
Nemhart. It's
Oh
Nemhart.
no, this is
Nemhart.
It's Jrue Holiday! It's Jrue Holiday!
So
Dude,
good.
Jrue was as pumped
So
as you
good.
guys were, dude.
Yeah.
I think he was yelling
man.
Jrue too.
So
I didn't
first
realize.
Of all, well,
Oh,
just
you were
quickly,
just gutturally.
Yeah,
I
dude,
did not
it
realize
was the
how
best.
much I lost my mind. Did not realize.
And that's the moment that Grandy retweeted, right, with his high
Yes.
praise, and So playback.tv/Celtics blog. Jake and I believe some other folks are going to be live on there after this pod. As soon as we wrap this pod, Jake's jumping in there to stream the second half or whatever's left of the Western Conference Finals Game 3. So definitely hop in there. The link's in the description below. But Jrue Holiday obviously had this go-ahead and won a few moments before that. Great defensive play. Great contest by Derek White there on Siakam to force the turnover. And then Jrue Holiday posting up down the other end to get us a much-needed go-ahead bucket. And, of course, it's the free throw as well. Jrue Holiday, Jake, you were talking about this on late night last night, and the comps with Marcus Smart, which they've been being compared before Jrue Holiday played for the Celtics. But with the loss of Marcus, one thing we lost that I wasn't sure we were going to get back is someone who is capable of manufacturing magical moments, like unbelievable tide-shifting moments when you just think all hope is lost. And Marcus Smart became known and loved for that among Celtics fans, and hopefully we'll go on to do more of that in Memphis. But Jrue Holiday I wasn't always aware of this, but he's definitely that guy. He's absolutely capable of manufacturing these magical moments. And similar to Jaylen, got through the heat, got through the Spoelstra mind terrorism, and has now moved on to be like a really impactful magical moment manufacturing player for the season. Love it. I defy you to find a better, more accurate term.
That's the new T-shirt. That's the new T-shirt. Is Jrue Holiday the magical moment manufacturer? I mean, he manufactured the most magical moment in Milwaukee Bucks history. Like the steal on Devin Booker and the alley oop to Giannis, and he's manufactured two magical moments in this series alone between Game 1 against Haliburton and Game 3 here. Like, yeah, man, I agree. Like, Marcus is always going to be remembered for the double charge meltdown of the Houston Rockets, diving into the stands and throwing the ball off Kawhi Leonard's shoes. Like, he does that, and now we've got that. And this was a very Marcus Smart type game for Jrue. 4 for 10, 1 for 6 from 3, 9 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 turnovers, but made the magical plays. Yeah, he's been fantastic, man. That's on the DVD, please.
Dude, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And I think the biggest thing about Jrue is that teams just respect him as an offensive player much more than they respected Marcus Smart. I will remember Marcus for many things. I will also remember him for Miami basically ignoring him in Game 7 of 2022 when they almost came back because they just let him shoot wide open threes and he couldn't make one. Jrue, not a great three-point shooting night, but I would trust him to make those threes. And that's kind of the most important thing is so do other teams. And that's what matters. And the defense on Nembhard, Carlisle was such a salty bitch. Ooh, he got fouled. No, he did not.
Not at
all. The final 2 minutes report came out. He did not get fouled. And in the moment when they showed the replay, wasn't even close to a foul. What an incredible defensive play against Andrew Nembhard, who we gushed about for the opening 10 minutes of this podcast. He's been playing awesome. Just a crazy last 30 seconds for Jrue Holiday and won the game essentially.
Yeah, my advice to the opposition would be if you need a bucket to end the game, don't dribble anywhere fucking near Jrue Holiday. Dribble away from Jrue Holiday, not towards him. Simple stuff. It's a simple game sometimes. And if you're going to dribble towards one of the best defenders in the league, you're going to run into trouble, I say. Now, let's wrap up our Game 3 talk with, I guess, just a few individual performances. Jayson Tatum, if we haven't talked about him enough, captain's knock, comes back with 36 points, 5 of 10 from the floor. Missed a couple of what could have been considered crucial free throws, but in hindsight, we won the game. So we will choose to ignore those. But back to fairly dominant on the boards and 2 assists shy of a triple-double, Jake. Jayson Tatum, is he back?
Man, feels an awful lot like he's back. I'm thinking I'm back. Keanu Reeves, John Wick. He's back, fellas. Yeah, dude. It's too bad he left the 4 free throws on the table, man, to get that 40 bomb. That would have been really nice, and also would have been really nice to have those 4 extra points when we were scrapping and clawing. But man, perfect game. I think this goes. I can't put it ahead of obviously Game 6 Milwaukee, Game 7 against Philly, but like this might be number 3 for me as far as like moments, context. Sure, we're probably not going to lose the series if we were up 2-0, whatever, but like these wins are really important. We're going to get to the Kristaps thing. Getting rest for Al Horford's important. Going up 3-0. And also just like I don't know if he cares or needs it, but we needed it as fans, like the narrative game. And to have it, like to have the playmaking look the way that it did, to have that incredible pass to Horford, to just do it in every possible way. Love him. He's back.
Yeah, second best plus minus on the team after shout out Xavier Tillman, the legend.
The big T-bag.
Yeah, big T-bag. No turnovers for Jayson Tatum. Just absolutely dominant. Massive offensive rebound. I think it was in the first half, but it was kind of like when Indy was making a run and he scooped up. Somebody missed a layup. Might have been Jrue, and Tatum put it back up. And those types of things keep you connected throughout a game. And I think that type of stuff is really important. 2 blocks, a steal. His defense was really, really good. His rim protection was really, really solid. And the rebounding was massive, man. Like, Indy had, 9 offensive boards. We only had 7. They kind of beat us in the possession game there. But that stuff can get out of that stuff can lose you a game if you're not solid on the defensive glass. And Tatum really was. And I thought he played with a little bit better pace. He just was really quick with his decision-making in the half court. And that's what we need from him. He did it. And he dominated, and I anticipate Game 4 is going to be a Celtics blowout, frankly, because they've kind of been outlier shooting from long 2 and above the break 3s. And if Tatum plays like that again, it's going to be a murder. Like, it's really just going to be a murder.
We are due for a Celtics blowout, feels like.
That'd be nice. Yeah, especially in the subsequent games in the finals. I'd like some Celtics blowouts there as well.
Let's
And if
get
Jayson
4 of
Tatum
those.
if Tatum's hitting his 3, I'm sorry, like that just puts us at a huge advantage. But speaking of hitting 3s, Al motherfucking Horford, who also had 3 blocks in this game, but 7 of 12 from beyond the arc. And, we've talked about it all playoffs, like one of the easy, at least from the opposition perspective standpoint, easy shots to concede is the Al Horford 3. And when he's hitting them, I'm sorry, like, good night. And 7 made 3s for Al Horford. Not like this was a blowout, but huge reason for the comeback. Huge reason that why the Celtics were in this game at all. And I know apparently, like Abby Chin was saying this in her post-game pod with Forsberg after the game, which is technically Forsberg pod. Apologies, Forsberg. But that apparently Al hates the mention of his age and like, how are you doing X, Y, Z at your age? Right. Apparently he hates that discourse. But how is he fucking doing this at his age? He's 38 years old. He's continually impactful on both sides of the ball. Continually the reason why the Celtics are even a chance to win any of these games. We don't deserve him. It's crazy. And like, I think less and less about Kristaps Porzingis.
We deserve each other.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. But we have the luxury of barely having to think about KP and the longingness for KP to come back just because of how effective Al Horford has been, Spoonie. It's been incredible. What a joy.
Hey, look, man, when we were saying, like, with Greeny we had on the preview podcast, I think we were talking about, like, whose series is this going to be? And I went out on a limb and said Al Horford's. Did not look great after Game 2, especially, but now I look like a genius after Game 3, and I'm hoping recency bias is going to take us through. But, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, they're just going to have to leave him open. There's nothing else you can really do to defend this Celtics team. You got to leave Al Horford open. 7 of 12 from 3. And defensively was really, really good. He said it like when we closed out that Cleveland series and he was like, I wanted the crowd to embrace me and they did. And I would embrace Al Horford before many of my relatives because he's just a beautiful, perfect man. And like many, many clutch threes, no more clutch than off that Tatum pass. And you just know it's going in. And like we deserve each other. You're right, Jake. And it's just absolutely beautiful. And I love Al Horford. And what a goddamn game from this dude. And what a playoff run he's kind of putting together. He's had some lows, but that's kind of just like, well, whatever. We don't really need him to win games. And then when we absolutely need to win, he shows the fuck up. And there he is.
The GOAT.
What can you say?
The GOAT, dude.
The GOAT.
He's just like, and man, we need him. We need him. That's why it's a big win. Been talking about it. Like, rested Al Horford. We're going to need him. And we're kind of, with the way that the finals is scheduled, we're going to get multiple days of rest between all the games pretty much. And so, stretch fives are unguardable when you have the personnel that the Celtics do and just in general. And so now you go back 4 games now. He's 6 for 13 in game 5, 3 for 12, 0 for 1, and now 7 for 12. Like, kind of spike games, but like, you can't just take the spike games because like when he's able to knock down 6 or 12, and it's just the confidence and willingness to have the 6 for 13 games. Like, that's the problem, is like if you get to a situation where he misses his first 2 or 3, he's 0 for 3, and he stops shooting, like the fact that he still went 3 for 12 is actually good. Like the fact that he's willing to keep shooting and force defenses to make that decision, because we believe in him, he believes in it, and so yeah, keep letting it fly, Al.
Anything else from Game 3 before we get to an ad break and move on to Game 4? We're kind of running out of time here, but we do have to give a quick tip of the cap to Xavier Tillman, the big T-bag. Like you said, Spoonie, plus 12, team high there. He was great defensively coming in and spelling an absent Luke Cornett. Derek White, 4 blocks, struggled to find the shot, hit a big 3 with 5 minutes to go in the game to sort of help keep us in line with that comeback that we eventually made. Sam Hauser, get well soon, whatever is going on in that man's head or wrist or whatever mechanically is the problem with his 3. Still solid enough defensively, but like he's not a great defender, so he kind of needs to be hitting his fucking 3 if we're going to keep him out there. And that's potentially problematic because that's a huge chunk out of our rotation if he becomes unplayable moving forward, Jake.
Yeah, man, that 3 that he missed was rough, dude. Like, you get the awesome stuff. And I credit him. He's doing the little things. He's getting rebounds. He's battling on defense. But yeah, dude, the reason he's in the NBA is because he's a 40+% three-point shooter on high volume. And you can't miss those 3s when you're trying to get back in the game and you play awesome offense. Al Horford, who's been money, swings it to Hauser on a catch and shoot. I thought that one was going in. Like, it looks like he was online and he went airball, man. Like, it's almost like incomprehensible that at Hauser is here. The good news is, I'll say we're up 3-0 now. So like, play good. Hauser maybe extra minutes. Like, the pressure's kind of off now. Like, you're up 3-0. Like, just go in there, play free. I'm sure everybody's talking to him, getting in his ear, being like, we believe in you. You've been through slumps before. Like, I saw on Twitter, I think it was Trey talking about how Ray Allen had slumps where he was like 20% from 3 in the playoffs. Like, this is the reality of being a shooter. It's going to happen. And so just like stay with it, stay confident. Maybe you find it like Tatum did last game, and then you can go on a run into the finals.
Yeah, and those Hauser runs are fucking backbreakers too when he finds it. So, yeah, I think he's taking like 53s in the playoffs. That's absolutely nothing. He will have a game, hopefully soon, and many of them, where he's just like, oh, Hauser went 3 for 4, and the game's over in the second quarter because the Celtics blew it wide open. So, yeah, I'm with you, Jake. That makes a lot of sense. Like, give him some run, Joe. Like, let him, because his minutes have been pretty low, especially as compared to Pritchard. Last night was the first time their minutes were about the same, both about 13 minutes. So give Hauser 20 minutes of game 4. Or maybe not, though. Do we just want to close this out?
I know. It's
inside.
The blowout that you predict, do we get 14 minutes of garbage time where Walshy and Hauser can just go out there and just like launch from deep? That's
Walsh
my hope.
With like 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. What a
Please,
legend.
God. Yes.
Hey, maybe he's going to do like the Caleb Martin thing where it's just like, PJ Washington, Derek Jones Jr., they go nuts for a series. Sam's just saving it for the finals.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll subscribe to that.
Real quick. My PJ Washington love. Looking pretty good. Good.
You were the captain. You were the captain of the PJ Washington ship. That's for sure.
Might come back to bite us in the finals. We'll see what happens there.
Shit.
When we come back, we'll talk some Game 4. We'll reach a little bit and talk about the conference finals MVP. And Rick Carlisle is a very salty boy. But first, here's a quick word from GameTime.
The NBA playoffs have been awesome so far, so it's hard to not think about trying to get to a couple of games. GameTime is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down closer to tip-off, which makes it great for last-minute decisions to maybe fly to Boston for the NBA Finals. My dad is literally on the way to Boston from Sydney right now for Game 1 of the second round, and he used GameTime to get his tickets. GameTime has awesome features like seat views. You get a sweet panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. You get a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Let's open up the Game 4 talk looking through the lens of Rick Carlisle, who seems to be extremely motivated. Let's first of all start with coming away from Game 3, his reaction to how things went down there.
Rick, you were up 8 with about 2.5 minutes to go in this game.
I just watched the ending, so you don't need to remind me. I saw everything that happened. Everything.
What to you was the difference
Everything.
in that? Everything?
Everything that happened, yeah. Anybody else?
So this is Bizarro. Yeah, Bizarro, angry Jim Carrey, talking about the motivations going into Game 4, specifically around the NBA logistically planning to give out awards, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, there's plenty of reasons to be motivated for this game tomorrow. When you're the head coach of an NBA team, you tend to get information on things. So one thing I just heard in the last few minutes is that the league is making logistical plans for a trophy presentation on our floor tomorrow, and so that's something that I think should make our players' blood boil and our fans' blood boil, and it's just another layer of motivation to extend the series.
How dare they? How dare the NBA prepare for a likely event, guys? Unbelievable. It should make your blood boil.
Hey, Rick, no shit. They do that for every time it's a potential closeout game in the conference finals, you dumbass. Like, what are you mad at?
Huge energy. Like, you've seen that famous tweet where it's like, sorry, the NFL is rigged. I just saw it live. You can't convince me otherwise. Like, that energy after the game being like, yep, I saw it. I rewatched the play. And then the 2-minute report comes out. It's like everybody, not a single person was like, that's a foul. It's like, what are you talking
Except
about?
Except him and Nemhard. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, man. But what is he supposed to be? Not mad that his team's down 3-0 in the conference finals. So, yeah. Oh, well, hold that L on the way out, big dog.
Now, I think the more interesting conversation is around Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which we'll get to in a second. Spoonie, you predicted Game 4 might be a blowout in favor of the Celtics. Jake, any thoughts on Game 4? The reason I think we shouldn't spend that much time on this is it's kind of, it doesn't really matter. Whether it's Game 4 or Game 5 that the Celtics win the series in, it feels pretty safe to say that it's just over at this point, right?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. But yeah, go out and win it tomorrow. I did try and talk myself into maybe like if Kristaps is available for Game 5, but like he's already been ruled out for Game 4, so that doesn't really make sense to me if that or whatever. But so I'd love a blowout. I find it hard to get myself there because every game has been so close, but we are due for a blowout. Just a nice wire-to-wire W. But again, I just don't think this Pacers team is wired to roll over. So like, I think they're going to come out. Nemhard's having the time of his life right now. Like, I think he's going to come out and play really hard again. And I think you're going to go out and have to like win and go create the blowout. I don't think Indiana's going to hand you the blowout.
Yeah. My position on it is essentially like they're a great mid-range shooting team, but even great mid-range shooting teams eventually. Yeah. Counselor, Your Honor, please the court, Wayne Spoonie for First of the Floor podcast. My position is that eventually they're going to have a game where they just don't shoot 50% from long mid-range. Like, it's going to happen, dude. It's not a sustainable way to play offense over a series. Like, you can do it for a couple games. Once that happens, it's going to be a massive blowout because that's the only way they're propping up their offense. And I feel like they've done it for 3 games straight. They did it against the Knicks for a couple games. Like, it just feels like Game 4, like they're going to be too hyped up. Like, Rick Carlisle, we can't let them get the Eastern Conference Finals trophy on our floor, whatever the fuck that means. And it just feels like they're going to shoot like 32% from long mid-range. And if that happens, we're going to absolutely fucking spank them because we're going to get out in transition on those possessions, and they're not obviously going to get those points. So that's where I'm coming from. But you're right, Jake. Like, this team, is really legit. I feel like for 3-0, this is about as close as it gets for a 3-0 series right now, as far as competitiveness goes. So, but yeah, Celtics by 27.
Hey, hell yes.
I like the Pacers, and I've never felt this sort of spiteful desire to like celebrate with the trophy on their floor until now, watching angry Jim Carrey go off about the logistical planning of a likely event. It's just ridiculous to say that thing into a microphone and on camera. So very much feeling like it would be nice to hoist the, what is it, the Larry Bird Eastern Conference Finals trophy on their floor. Which brings us to our final point here, the Eastern Conference Finals, Larry Bird, something award. Jake, who should win this award? And really, is it fair to say it comes down to two individuals?
I think so. I've seen some people arguing for three, and it depends on how you weigh certain things. The odds have it Tatum 1, Jaylen 2, Jrue 3 right now. I think it's I would objectively say it's like Tatum's award. I think you can easily make an argument for Jaylen. He's been awesome in this series. You don't win game 1 without him. You don't win game 2 without Jaylen either. But Tatum, I think, with that performance in game 3, like he's gonna get away with it a little bit because of game 2, and he saved himself. He played he played well, and when he needed to play well in that second half because the game was close in game 2 for Tatum. But he's like. Numbers are propped up a little bit by that second half. Tatum, it's going to probably end up being Tatum. I personally would just like it to be Jaylen because I think that's the best vibes outcome. Tatum got the first team All-NBA, not again. Jaylen didn't make All-NBA. Like, it would just be nice, in my opinion, that JB finally gets like the recognition for something. It's not a big deal, and people have got mad at me on Twitter for saying like it's a participation trophy or whatever. But like, Jaylen's averaging 35 and 3 with 2.5 stocks. Like, I get that's probably Tatum's award, but it wouldn't be a participation trophy for Jaylen.
Yeah, but it is a participation trophy essentially, right? It's like 3 years old. You know what I mean? It's oh, congrats, you won the in-season tournament and the Larry Bird trophy. You know, like who gives a shit, kind of, but also. You know, maybe it's Andrew Nemhard and a Jerry West-esque, like, hey, you lost, but it wouldn't have been fucking close without you. For me right now, it's JB. I think the 40 in game 2 was absolutely massive. He hits the biggest shot in the series in game 1. And like Tatum was obviously incredible in game 3, but is it that much better than Jaylen's game 2? I don't know. I'm not sure I really think so. And Jaylen was kind of under. I mean, it was better than Jaylen's game 2, but not by like a consistent amount.
Sure.
And like JB 10 of 18 in game 3, you know, 2 boards, 3 assists, a steal, a block, only 1 turnover, 24 points. So I think for me right now, Jaylen's the leader in the clubhouse, with Tatum and Jrue kind of right behind him, nipping at his heels, just because partly Jrue doesn't have the scoring numbers, but good God, you know, we just said it. What is it? Magical. What was it, Ben? Magical
moment manufacturer.
That's right.
Magical moment manufacturer.
Magical moment manufacturer. Yeah, that's
we'll
right.
get the T-shirt
like the
in the store. That's right. That's right.
It's like So it's right up there. But ultimately, I think whichever of the Jays has the better game 4 probably gets the award, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's still a game to be played. Tatum does have the better scoring, assisting, rebounding stats, but Jaylen has the moment of the series so far, and maybe the game of the series as well in game 2, I think. But if he doesn't hit that ridiculous shot, not to mention forcing the turnover off Siakam before that in game 1, then the tone of this series is completely different. So for me, it's Jaylen Brown. The fact that Tatum has already gotten it, like the NBA do seem to factor in narratives to some degree with some of these awards. So I think that probably helps tip things in favor of Jaylen Brown as well. Jrue Holiday, like you said, manufacturing magical moments all over the place, definitely puts him in contention as well. But I think it's Jaylen's award to lose at this point. Anything else on anything we've discussed, guys, before we wrap this up?
No, we're good to go. Let's get this thing done, man.
Yeah, please win.
5 to go, man. Come on.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, right there.
1 win away. just quickly before Game 4 tomorrow, the injury report. Kristaps Porzingis still out with the right soleus strain cornet. He's questionable, so the wrist is healing there. And Jrue Holiday still recovering from that non-COVID illness, questionable as well. I reckon if he played when he was at the peak of his illness yesterday, he's probably going to play tomorrow night. But who am I? I know nothing. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to be back here tomorrow night live on YouTube with our instant reaction right after the final buzzer, then later in the evening with Celtics late night. That's right, playback.tv/Celtics blog right now with Jake and potentially a cast of other Celtics blog universe characters there for the second half of Western Conference Finals Game 3. On this channel, it's basically live Celtics content every day for the rest of the postseason, and then everything goes up on the podcast feed as well, so make sure you subscribe there. Spoonie, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celtics.
I love